Good afternoon, Council for Native American Indians. Can I help you?
Is this Scott Stevens?
Speaking.
Hello?
Yes, Scott here.
Is this Stevens? Yeah, this is John Marzulli from the New York Daily News.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm returning your call.
Yeah, I heard you wanted to talk to me?
Well, I covered federal court in Brooklyn. I saw that Jeff Italiano dismissed your lawsuit, but I tried to reach out to you and your lawyer. Your lawyer did get back to me.
Right.
That he was very disappointed with
Right.
with the decision. So that's about it.
Right. Yeah, me too.
You took your shot.
Pardon me?
You took your best shot, I'm sure, you and your lawyer, and that's just the way the judge rules.
Yeah. Well,
Did you read the decision?
Yeah, I just read briefs of it.
Yeah.
I'm not really happy with it, and considering it's all based on lies on Trump's behalf and the attorneys that he has on his council, it's really sad that the New York Post wrote an article stating that I was holding his domain name hostage to be on his show, The Apprentice, which is a lie. And I am like just so upset over that. It's unbelievable. I actually have an eyewitness, Brian Miller, who I was ready to subpoena to court to testify on my behalf in regards to this as being a witness to our first telephone conversation, whereas Michael Cohen had said, well, Brian Miller says, oh, by the way, I got a friend of mine sitting here, he owns TrumpEstates.com. And just as he said that, he put him on speakerphone, and this guy, Michael Cohen, says, well, you tell your friend if he doesn't just turn over the domain name, we won't sue the fuck out of his ass. And that's when I chirped in and I says, look, I tell you what, I'll give you guys the domain name for $1 and a handshake just to meet the Trump. And he says, oh, I don't know, man, we'll get back to you guys on that. And he didn't. So I asked Brian Miller for his phone number, and he gave me his phone number. About a week later, I called him back, and I said, look, I'm the guy with the domain name, you're really cool if I got to meet the Trump, I'll give it to him for $1 and a handshake. He's like, oh, I don't know, we'll get back to you. And they didn't. And then a couple of years went by, and I called him back, and I offered it to him again, and he said, yeah, we'll get back to you. And they didn't. And then on February 28, 2015, I get an email from Trump organization. I thought it was a scam, oh, cease and desist. Then I get a phone call from back east, and one of my buddies says, Scott, I got a certified mail, this Trump organization. And I'm like, oh, wow, well, I guess this email is real. So then I went on eBay, and I changed it immediately from $10,000 to $21 million. I know nobody's going to pay for it. I just put it up there for the shits and giggles. Then I called up the Trump organization, and I says, hey, I'm the guy that you guys sent the cease and desist to. And they says, oh, well, you're calling up to turn over the domain name. I says, not exactly, I'll make the offer one more time, $1 and a handshake. He says, that ain't going to happen. We'll give you $30 and an autographed signed book of Trump. I says, wait a minute. I can get one of those on eBay for like $1 and a hand, on eBay for $1. And, I says, I bought these domain names, all of them, for my nonprofit, the Council for Native American Indians, raise money for my nonprofit. And this one particularly, I just bought it because it was available. And then, I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to meet the Trump, Maybe he could help jumpstart my business and get my name off the ground and, help me sell some of these other domain names. And he says, well, in that case, I guess we could help out your little nonprofit. We'll give you like $250, maybe $300, but you have to throw in this other domain name, 420frosty.com. I said, wait a minute. You want a top-tier domain name and TrumpEstates.com for $300 in a song? Wow, man, that's really hard, man. I don't know if I can deal with that, but let me give you guys a call back in a couple of days. Well, I called up a federal attorney friend of mine back east in New York, and I says, hey, blah, blah, blah. I told him the whole story. He's like, Scott, I got a friend over at the Post. Maybe they'll run a story for you. All right. So the Post calls me up, and they run a story. But they didn't run the fact that I told them specifically that I told them that I offered the domain name several times over the course of several years to the Trump organization for $1 and a handshake. Not a joke. I just wanted to meet the guy. Back in the day, I used to look up to him, go and visit his hotels. I stayed at the Trump Palace a couple of times in Las Vegas. I thought it was really cool. This guy's building all these buildings all over the place. Trump's a cool guy, whatever. I don't know. I don't know that much about him, but, I own TrumpEstates.com. Maybe I can meet the guy, I never even seen the show Apprentice. I don't even own a TV set. I haven't watched TV in 20 years. And, I go over to a friend's house and they might be watching The Apprentice, and I'm like, this is a joke. I mean, this guy just fires everybody, man. He has a show on the air for how many years? He can't find an apprentice. How many episodes he's got, and he never can find an apprentice. How is he going to run for president? And that's what one of the conversations I had with his attorney. I says, the guy's flip-floppy. He says he's going to run for president. He's not going to run. He says he's going to run. He's not going to run. How can he run for president if he fires everybody? And the guy says to me, he says, well, for your information, Mr. Trump is going to be announcing his bid for candidacy in about a week or so. And I thought in the back of my head, well, you just told the wrong person, dude. And when I told that to the New York Post, that Trump was going to be announcing his bid for candidacy, I was the one that spilled the beans and let it out to the public. And then the New York Post runs an article saying that I was holding his domain name hostage to be on his show, The Apprentice. You couldn't pay me enough money to go on public television, national television, and be fired in front of this clown. You couldn't pay me enough. And I just, I felt like, wow, this guy's pulling this Trump card. Like, everybody wants to be on his show. Well, not everybody wants to be on his show. Like me, I could care less. It's not.
Wouldn't have turned down the opportunity. So I'm sure.
Pardon me?
You would have turned down the opportunity to be on his show?
Yeah, I would have turned it down. I would have never went on there, ever. I
thought you said you respected the guy. You looked up to him.
Yeah, but not the TV show. I wouldn't go on national television and, try and satisfy him and then be fired because, it's obvious that the show is built on him being a tyrant
It would have been,
boss.
I mean, the people that go on the show benefit from the attention also. You got business and...
Like I said, I never watched the show. I only saw clips of it, and every time I heard or saw like a commercial on TV from, wherever I was at, it was always about, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. And then just, that doesn't really impress me, dude. Hire somebody and give them a chance,
I guess it's fair to say you're not voting for him for president.
Well, since 2008, I have been running my own campaign for presidency. In 2015, I filed with the Federal Elections Commission. I have a website called scottmeek.com, and I get about anywhere between 5,000 and 20,000 hits a day on that website, and it's all based on my presidential campaign. And it's really sad that, I told him that I was running for president before he even announced his candidacy. I've been running since 2008. Okay, when I saw that Obama was president or going to be president, I went up and built a website, and I started talking about politics. And I started showing people where the answers are at and how we can better our economy and how we can build our economy and how we can level the playing field for international trade. But and it's all spelled out on my website. There's 100 web pages on that on that site, and it's very in-depth, very detailed oriented, and it might seem like there's like a, I don't know, how would you say it, like it's minimalistic to the point where like it's all based around industrial hemp, but it's not. I'm looking at a more broader scale. Industrial hemp can eliminate a lot of things, and it can also bring a lot of economy. I mean, you're talking about over 50,000 products that can be made from industrial hemp. Right? Right. Not one candidate on any of the GOP, nothing, nobody, not a, has mentioned anything about jobs. And even from the get-go, I've been pointing out to everybody how rhetorical the whole GOP debates have been, how none of the GOP, candidates have talked about jobs or job creation. They're all just talking rhetoric, and not one.
This is Mr. Stephens. This is really off point from the lawsuit, and the reason I called you. I mean, I'm not going to do a story about your presidential aspirations. It was an interesting case. It sounds to me like you feel you got screwed by the New York Post also.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, if you read the judge's decision, I think he just said basically the law was not on your side in terms of proving your case.
Yeah, only because of what.
It probably, if you just take 10 minutes to read the judge's decision, I think you'll see that it's just, the law being what it is, the law was on his side here, and all of this other stuff about, what one person said to overheard another person say. I don't think it really would have made any difference when you see the judge just ruled on the law.
Yeah, well, I didn't do anything against the law.
You didn't do anything against the law illegally or whatever. But when I say the law was on his side in terms of proving the claims that you had made, the defamation and interference with your business, you didn't do anything that was against the law, but the law just the law was on his side in getting the case dismissed. So that's all.
Even with all of his testimony saying that I was holding his domain name hostage to be on his show, The Apprentice.
The judge said it wasn't defamation.
Well, I am not an opportunistic cyber squatter. I buy and sell domain names. I've been doing it for 17 years. Okay? I've been buying and selling domain names for 17 years. I'm trying to raise money for my nonprofit organization. And this was just a prime example of trying to make a name for myself. I wasn't looking for big money. I wasn't trying to hold out. The only reason why I put it on eBay for $21 million is because I knew nobody would pay that much money for it. Okay?
I know, it was kind of a fictitious number. I understand. All right. That's it. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know what else to tell you, Mr. Stephens. I mean, I guess you can discuss with your lawyer if you wanted to appeal.
Yeah, we're heading that way. We're looking into that.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, if you do file an appeal, that would be in the Second Circuit of the Second Circuit of the Court of Appeals. And I don't know. You got to discuss that with your lawyer to decide. Whether I could put the effort, the money, and whether you have a chance of prevailing. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but it's certainly, I guess, it's an option. But I think you really should read the decision yourself. You sound to me like an intelligent guy, and if you take time to digest what the judge wrote in there, I think it would help inform your decision. Okay?
Yeah, I just barely briefed right through it. I only got it about 15 minutes ago myself, so.
I understand. Take a few minutes just to read what the judge said. You may not agree with him, and but just read what he says in terms of what the law is and what the threshold that you have to meet to make a case and to proceed with your case. And I think you'll find it informative.
Yeah.
Okay?
I just think it's really a crying shame that. I mean, I've been watching all of the GOPs and all of the debates and whatnot, and it's really sad that both of our candidates that we have, Democratic and Republican, are so bad for our country, man.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that view. I think there's a lot of people who feel that way.
Yeah, well, I'd appreciate it if you went to my site and checked it out.
Which one, your presidential one?
Yeah.
What is that one called?
Yeah, just
what is that one called?
scottmeek.com. meek.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you for getting back to me, Mr. Stephens. I appreciate it. I wish you good luck.
You're the best. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.